CrustNet.
Soil sampling occurs throughout the CrustNet protocol. You need to collect soils along the transects for 0 to 1 centimeter composite samples and 1 to 5 centimeter composite samples. For Tier 1, you should collect soil on all 10 structure function plots. For Tier 2, you should collect soil for all plots. We recommend using the margin trowel as shown here. You can mark the trowel with Sharpie to indicate 1 centimeter or 5 centimeter depths, and then use the size of the trowel to determine the proper surface area to sample. You can use the trowel to cut through vegetation and move rocks out of your way. For the 0 to 1 centimeter samples, it is very important to obtain exactly the required surface area. If the margin trowel is not working for the soils at your site, feel free to use other tools as shown in the protocol. The sample will be collected in a plastic bag and then should be subsampled for a molecular analysis. It can be challenging to obtain the deeper 1 to 5 centimeter samples. The margin trowel works for some soils. You can use a sledgehammer or mallet to assist. Other coring options are available, like a standard soil corer or a 50 milliliter falcon tube. Some are better for rocky soils, some are better when there are deep roots that need to be cut. Use what works for the soils at your site. For the structure function plots, we also need to sample 1 to 5 centimeters. And so in each of the zones where you already removed the 0 to 1, you can now sample 1 to 5. And so you can use a tube like this that's measured up to 5 centimeters. And you could use a mallet potentially to help you sample. Another tool that you could use is a corer. These plots will never be sampled again, so it's okay if you need to dig around your sample to get this out. Again, try to minimize the amount that you're touching the inside of your sample bag. There's one. You need to get another sample here, 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 and another one here. And so sometimes when the tube isn't working great, we will get a larger sample with the trowel. And that can be the case when there's too many roots or too many rocks to dig deep. Which is the case right now. For these samples, it's less important that we have the perfect surface area or the perfect volume of soil. It just matters that we have a integrated sample capturing the 1 to 5 centimeter soil types at the site or at the plot. So you'll go ahead and sample more from this section and add it to the same bag. Once you've collected all of your soil samples, you'll need to take subsamples for molecular analysis. And so to start, you can disaggregate the soil in your bag. So you can use gentle homogenization like this on the outside of the bag. You don't want to put your fingers inside the bag. So we'll avoid contamination that way. And you can break up all of the aggregates until none are larger than a 1/2 centimeter in diameter. If there are rocks in your bag, it's really easy for those to poke through and break the Ziploc bag, so you might need to double bag. I spend a few minutes on each bag, depending on the soil type. Soils with a thick root layer may take a long time to homogenize. And once everything has been disaggregated, then you're ready to take a subsample. So your sampling kit will come with 5 milliliter tubes and RNA later. You should bring with you a spatula or spoon and 70% ethanol. And some gloves. So first you'll want to sterilize your spatula using the ethanol. Make sure that your tool is air dry before you stick it into the soil. And then you're going to subsample from 5 areas in the bag, collecting a sample that fills the tube halfway. You can avoid rocks and you can avoid plant debris that might be in the bag. Tube, and I'm going to add a little bit more so that it's up halfway. Okay, so you want it about that full. Your tube should contain information about the sample, so you can have the node code, the date, the plot type, and the depth. And then for redundancy, I also put a 2-number code on the top, and then on the data sheets you can include information about what number that corresponds to for the samples. And then you'll want to use the RNA later and fill all the way up until the soil is covered with RNA later. And we can pour it in like that, or you can use the disposable pipetters to transfer the liquid. And so there's the soil and the RNA later, and then you'll want to mix that thoroughly. Until all of the soil is covered in RNA later. This can go in the fridge if you have that available to you. Otherwise, you can leave it at room temperature or air temperature until you ship it to us, and we'll put it into a minus 80 degrees Celsius freezer at that point. It's a good idea to pre-label all of your tubes. Ensure redundancy in your labeling system by including a tube number on the lid and then all of the detailed information on the side of the tube.